In this third video, we're going to be adding an image, some heading, and some text to our home page. Okay, so at the moment, if you look in the site panel, you'll see that we're on master page A, and we're going to be working on the home page. So we're just going to double click home. You can see the eye's gone there, and that's the page we're working on now. I'm just going to collapse that. I want to first of all add an image, so I'm going to go to the quick build panel on the left. I'm just going to drag the picture icon to the web page, and the image that we want to use is this modern technology one. As you can see, its dimensions are quite large at 2658 by 1772. Now if you have access to an image editing application like WebPlus, then I would recommend that you actually resize and optimize your image for the web and save it and then import it into WebPlus, and you'll find that you'll save a little bit on the file size, which is currently 773K, which is quite large, and you'll preserve a lot of the quality. So if you can optimize your image and save it at the right dimensions, then you should do that. In this instance, we're just going to click on it. I'm also going to make sure that it doesn't say link picture, it's actually embed picture, which is selected, and this means that the image will actually be embedded in the actual WebPlus file, the WPP file. And so if you ever need to copy your project to another computer, the image file, because it's embedded, will just move with that WPP file. If it was linked, that means that there's just a link between the WebPlus project and the file. So if you move the file, then the WebPlus won't be able to find that file, and it will ask you for its location. If you accidentally delete that file, then it will actually break the link in WebPlus and it won't show that image. So I always go with embed picture and click open, and that will just paste it onto our page. And as you can see, it's massive. So we're just going to resize this down, but before we do that, I'm just going to show you something. If you right click on the home in the site panel and click estimate download time, it will actually show you the kilobyte size of the page, which is 179 kilobytes. And you want to always make sure that your home page does not exceed 300 kilobytes. Now without the image, so I'm just going to undo to remove the image. I'm just going to do it again, estimate download time. You can see it's 8 kilobytes, so it's added about 171 kilobytes just by adding that image. Okay, so I'm just going to do redo a couple of times just to get the image back. I'm just going to resize the image. I've got a specific dimension in mind, so I'm going to use the transform panel in the right. I'm going to check the lock aspect ratio, so when I change the width, the height will change proportionately. I'm just going to change the width to 425 pixels. You can see it's resized the image much smaller. I'm just going to push it against the margin, and I want it to be 100 pixels from the top, so I'm just going to change that to 100. Okay, so that's our image added. I'm just going to zoom in, and let's just check the size of the page. So again, just right click home, estimate download time, and you can see it's down to 53 kilobytes, which is good. So if you do add a lot of images, I would recommend that you check the estimated download time to make sure that it's not, the page size hasn't crept up too much. Like I say, for the home page, you should be looking for about 300 kilobytes. For other pages, it can be higher. If you're doing a portfolio site, if you're a photographer or something, then your page might go up to a megabyte, which is 1000K, and that's fine. Okay, so the other thing I'm going to show you is, if you remember, this image was called Modern Technology. If I publish this website now, WebPlus will actually give this image a completely different name. It will call it something like wp123456789.jpg, which search engines won't be able to read. And since there's nothing on the text, there's no text here, in terms of both accessibility and search engine optimization, that won't really be what we're looking for. So we want to go to Edit, Site Properties, and under Images, we're going to click Use Original Names of Picture Files. And so now it will just use the original name of the picture file, so we can just click OK. Great, so that's our image added. Another way to improve accessibility for people who are using screen readers, and also to help Google and other search engines to scan your images, is to change the alt text. You can do this by clicking on the image, then right-clicking, Export Options, and then under the Export Options you can click Alt and Title, and here you can enter the title. So for example, if your mouse hovers over the image, a little title box appears showing a description of the image. So for example, I can just put in concept of technology, and you can also change the alt text. Now it's set as use default alt text as a default. So for example, if it's just a decorative image or an image that already has text in it, then WebPlus will assign an alt text of either nothing or whatever the text on that image is. So I'm going to put in something specific, so I'm just going to uncheck it, and I'm just going to type in business people holding gadgets. So anyone who's looking at this web page with a screen reader, they'll be able to see that description and know what that image is about. Just going to click OK. And now I'm just going to add a heading, which would just be some text. So I'm going to use the text frame tool. Just going to put it here. And I'm just going to type in and I'm going to make it white and font size 24. Okay. Now when using fonts, I strongly recommend that despite having a huge number of fonts in your font list, to only choose the ones from the WebSafe portion. So that will just normally be the top. WebSafe fonts are fonts that will be available on virtually every computer, whether it's a Mac, whether it's a PC, or whether it's running Linux. If you choose one of these other fonts, or a font that is not WebSafe, there's no guarantee that font will be available on somebody else's computer, which means their browser won't have access to it, and it will substitute a different font. So when you use a WebSafe font, you know exactly what your visitors on the other end will be seeing, and that no substitution will take place. Okay, so I'm just going to sharpen that up a bit by resizing the text frame. I'm just going to make a copy of this text frame just by holding down Control, selecting it, and then just dragging down. Just going to make it a bit bigger. Not that big. Again, I'm just going to use a transform panel just to get my exact dimensions. I'm going to change the font size down to 12. Just going to highlight this font, and I'm just going to insert some placeholder text. That would be text. Insert, fill with placeholder text. I'm just going to break it up just a little bit. Okay, so I'm happy with that. Now what I want to do is just to add a button. So I'm just going to go to Quick Build the panel and then drag a button icon to it. And I'm just going to choose this one, the one that we designed, and change the label to Contact Us. Okay, just going to click OK, and that will paste it onto the page. It looks a little bit small, so I'm just going to resize it a little bit. Just going to double click and edit it as well. I'm just going to select the background, and I'm just going to make the edges a little bit rounded. So I'm just using this node tool, and I'm just going to pull it down, and that just makes it rounded. I just go to normal, and I just want to change the text to be a bit bigger. So that's fine, and just to make sure it's in the center, in the align panel in the bottom right, I'm just going to select center horizontally and center vertically, and that will put everything in the center. Just click commit changes, and to assign an action so that when somebody clicks on it, it goes to the Contact Us page, I'm just going to click hyperlinks, site page, Contact Us, and click OK, and we're done. Okay, so we've got our image, we've got our heading, we've got our text, and we've got a button so that people can go to the contact page. Just going to move that down just a little bit. And at the moment we've put this on the home page. So we'll continue building up this home page until we get to the bottom, and then we'll do something slightly different for the footer. So join me in a couple of days for the next tutorial, and in that one we're going to change the image and we're going to replace it with one of the new sliders that's available in WebPlus X6.